Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Witch Watch Season 1, Episode 6. Great episode, a very adorable episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we had the opening with Nico helping a classmate, or they might not even be in the same class, but schoolmate, with a charm. It's not full-blown magic, it's a charm, so it's not a guarantee, but it's meant to help her confess her feelings. And there's a guy nearby, and I think that's Ishii, who we see later on, and you're thinking like, oh, maybe he's approaching Nico because like maybe he likes Nico, and we haven't really crossed that bridge yet of guys that like Nico. We've crossed the bridge of like a whole bunch of girls like really like fawning over Morihito, and I'm surprised Khan hasn't had as much of an issue with that. I mean, once again, it's still he kind of brought it up last episode about like how like all the fanning that like, you know, Morihito as an ogre gets, so that comes up. But like the fact is it didn't come up this episode, I thought was interesting. But like it seemed like he doesn't get too swept up in that. But the whole boyfriend conversation has got Nico thinking like, her and Morihito, because it's like the more time that's going by, he's becoming more and more popular. Like what was a small group of girls is now becoming a larger and larger group of girls, and now it's like, I don't know, like, you know, it's getting to that point like other girls are taking interest in him, and she doesn't know how Mori sees her. In fact, she thinks like Morihito doesn't really like her, doesn't see her that way. So Khan ultimately decides he's going to be her wingman because he's like, yo, it's super obvious that you're into him. And she's like, what? And she's like, yeah. But obviously, it's like with Morihito, it's hard to really read him and know how he's feeling. So we need to kind of basically make his heart go flutter. So they watch the commercial and they're like, all right, we're going to this section of the school that Morihito's going to have to pass as he's making his way towards that vending machine in this section of the school. We're going to have you walk over there. I'm going to blow some wind. Your hair is going to flow in the wind, and he's going to like make your heart go flutter. I am one of those people that's like, yo, I would fall for something like that. I don't know, like a girl like fiddling with like her long hair and it kind of flowing in the wind, even a girl with long hair getting wet, and just how it looks. I know it's stupid, but it's one of those things that I think makes a woman really beautiful. Just one of those like peak, like pretty beautiful sexiness type of things. It's stupid, but that's me. So I get the sentiment, and so I love that it just has that moment, the wind's blowing, and it's just kind of like she does look very cute and beautiful, but then like Morihito just still has like the darkness in his eyes, and she's like, there's nothing, and so she's asking Khan to blow even more wind, and she does, and now she looks more creepy. She kind of looks badass with just like her hair covering her face. Then like the health teacher's like, oh my god, are you ill? What's going on? Wait, why is there only wind blowing in this direction? Because even Morihito was like, yo, there's not wind blowing around me. Like, what's going on? Because like the wind is so concentrated around her, obviously, but then it's intensified that it looks like she's powered up, like rather than like this is supposed to be a cute moment, and it kind of has the adverse effect. And then all this files from all the students get blown away. He's like, oh my god, that's a lot of people's body measurements. There's a whole bunch of girls' information there, and all the girls inside the classrooms, outside, everyone's like, what? And Morihito, who had just been training to increase his like control of his other senses, which I love Nico's little under her breath comment, like, well, I think there's another sense that you should be focusing on. And Morihito's like, what was that? And she's like, nothing. But yeah, he he closes his eyes not to look at anyone's information, grabs up all the papers super effortlessly. Hey, this is the stuff he's been training for, and he gives it back to the teacher. Like, I didn't take a single look. And all the girls are like, oh my god, he's so amazing, Sugoi. And it's like, oh my god, who is that? It's like, oh yeah, that's Morihito from this particular class. And it's just like, his popularity has risen yet again. And now Morihito finds out all about it. It's like, wait, you're trying to cause a flutter to make me flutter. He's like, what does that even mean? Say stuff that makes sense. At least make it make sense. It's like, oh, he's super, super dense. But there is a silver lining to all of this, because like there's some girls nearby that like was like wave to him, say hi, like when they were leaving school. And it's like, wait, who are they? And she's like, oh, it must make you feel happy. He's like, not really. It's like, wait, it doesn't? He's like, well, it's not that it doesn't make me happy. It's not like a bad thing. It's not like a great thing, but it's like, you know, it's a decent thing. Because for him, it's like, I don't really know how to react when people I don't know like approach me and say hi to me. It's kind of crazy, because he's like, I didn't grow up with having friends, so people liking him is something super new to him. So it's not the easiest thing, like people wanting to interact with him and say hi to him, strangers in particular. People, usually it's like his interactions are only with people he knows, like Khan and Nico, or like the ones he knows, or like he interacts with them, so it's easier. But then Nico's kind of happy because she's like, well, then it wasn't all bad. There was some good that came from this. But we continue that into the next section of the episode. And once again, I love these little interstitials where it's showing like the girl who had her charm made from Nico at the beginning of the episode. We see her confessing. Now, whether it worked out or not is unclear, but I'd like to believe it did. Eventually Nico got approached by Ishii, and he's like, oh, I want to meet you under this particular tree because like they have a trip coming up. And Kara is like, oh my god, it's like this lover's tree. It's like a legend of once you get underneath this tree, you'll end up like you and this person are destined to be in love. Obviously, most recently, there was a version of this in Madaka Kuraiwa is Impervious to My Charms, where it's like there's like a bridge section that connects both sides of the like some of the school buildings, and if you're in this particular section of the bridge and like you hold hands with someone during the festival, you're guaranteed to be a couple. So I'm sure Japan in general probably has a lot of those. I'm sure there's a lot of those here in America, but I'm not well versed in them. I like a lot of those like mythology like type of things, or like legends, like obviously like, and rumors and legends are pretty prominent, I think, probably in Japan in general, but definitely a lot of Japanese media. I don't know if that really it exists in the same vein in American media. It does, but not as to the frequent extent that it is in Japanese media, at least from what I've seen. But Kara's kind of like, oh yeah, it's something boring, it's not that great. And then she kind of turns and she's bothered by it. And Cuckoo's like, oh, well, Kara she wants a love confession, you know? Because it's like, Nico's kind of like, no, he probably just wants to talk to me. But Kara's like, no, it's definitely like a love confession. So she's bringing this up to Khan, who is like, because they have that whole conversation of, she's like, I think Morihito wouldn't be interested in me. That's why I don't ever confess him. Truth be told, is she's scared. And even Khan calls her out on it. It's like, you're scared. You're running away. You're trying to pretend like you're like, oh, I'm so busy with my witch training, I should focus on that. He's like, what are you, part of a sports club? Oh, I'm gonna focus on my sports club rather than like my personal love life. It's like, no, you're just running away. Because she's legitimately scared, like if she confesses to Morihito, like the crushing thing of, oh my god, he doesn't feel the same way I do. And it also like destroys whatever bond they have now. Because she's like, and most likely, why would he be interested in me? I screw up all the time. He'll probably look at me like a little sister. Because it's like those eyes of his, like even when I did the wind blowing through my hair thing, I didn't see anything. But then Khan was like, well, I saw that look too. Because for Khan, when he was talking to Morihito about like his dating life, it's like he can't even view Nico that way because he's very stubborn and a stickler for his responsibilities, and looking after Nico is his responsibility. That takes precedent over everything else. And because he is someone who sticks to his word is to protect her as a responsibility. So he can't even fathom viewing her in that way. So that's where we are. So it's like, right, we need to shake that loose a little bit. So the point was to kind of like make him a little jealous and point it out where like, oh yeah, Ishii wants to meet me underneath the tree, which I also love their teacher Yuri. She was making a reference to that manga from last episode. And then Cuckoo was like you're letting that seep out a little bit because you were referencing a lot. Because even the students were like, what was she saying? It sounded like it was supposed to be inspiring, but it doesn't make any sense. It's like, I love that. And like Cuckoo's like the only one that has the context. I'm like, oh, Yuri, like I wish, like your otaku seeping out, but it's like, yeah, at least someone amongst the students recognizes it, so you're not on an island all alone anymore. But either way, Nico's bringing up this whole situation of like, right, I'm going to meet with this guy, and he's like, okay, well, I'll leave you alone if you want to be under the lover's tree. And she's like, no, that's what I want. Like, you have no issues with me going off. And he's just like, at the end of the day, he's like, I want you to be happy. The fact is that if you're able to live like a normal life, like outside of just your witch duties, then more power. And she's just like, I am happy. It is fun here. But obviously it's just irritating for her because it's like, I wish you put up more of a fight. Like, I wish you would kind of care. And you see, like for a moment, like, because Khan sees the look on Morihito's face, he's just stopped, and it does hit him. But I think it is, and it's kind of what Khan was saying, like he doesn't let it show, like whatever he might be feeling, he doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve like Nico does. And you have that sad interstitial where it's like the first one is her walking on her own, and then the second one is him walking on his own. But they get to the spot, Nico, in fact, actually sees Morihito interacting with Keigo. Like they had this whole like underground scene kind of conversation. It's just like, oh, like the reference went over my head who they were referencing. Like, oh, it's a very specific band they were probably referencing of like, oh, this isn't like a Air Force logo. This is this band's logo. They were just as big as like the Beatles and the Stones, and like, oh, like the mod subculture versus like the rocker like subculture, and they were having like this interesting kind of like subculture nerd conversation, and it's like, yo, like, because it's our first like decent introduction to Keigo. Like, obviously he's going to be a proper main character going forward, but yeah, like, yeah, this is their first interaction. They kind of hit it off, and you're like, huh. And you see like Morihito walk away kind of happy, because I think for him it's like, hey, like I like he, outside of interacting with Nico and the small, like, very pleasantries, hello, hi, conversations with everyone, this is the first time he's had an extended conversation with someone at school properly. And so it's like almost on his own, he kind of made a friend. He bonded with someone outside of Nico and Khan, you know? So, but then he gets a girl being like, oh, can I talk to you? And you're like, oh, she's about to make a confession. And Nico is trying to find Ishii, because she's like, yeah, I got to turn him down. And then like she sees there's a whole bunch of couples there, and she's like, oh boy, what am I going to do? This feels kind of shady. And she runs into, and I love the little gag about like people like holding up signs. She's like, what are we at an airport entrance? Because people are holding up signs like, hey, I'm over here, like let's couple up right now. It's like, that's so adorable. And then she runs into Ishii, but then it's like, oh yeah, here's all these other people are brought along. And she's like, wait, is this all gonna be a love confession? I was like, that's what I thought it was, but it's like, actually they're asking for charms. That's what Ishii took away from the beginning of the episode. And so it's like, one guy was like, oh, I think magic will make me more popular, because he's like, oh, we want you to give us some hopeful charms, and over there is the hope tree, and if we're under the hope tree with these hope charms, then our hope is going to like double, isn't it? And she's like, that's not how that works. And one guy was like, oh, can this make magic's going to make me more handsome? Magic's going to help me find quintuplet fiancés. Hey, shoot for the dreams, my guy. It's like, that guy's in his harem era. He's looking for his harem. That's all I could take away from that. And she tries to run away from everyone, and she shrinks herself. As she's getting away, she ends up like falling into Morihito's pocket when he's talking to that girl, and she confesses that she likes him. And it's just like, for him, it's like, yeah, I don't feel the same way, because like I don't actually know you. And she's like, oh, that's, and Nico's overhearing this. She's like, oh, that's kind of blunt. And it's like, oh, girls don't like that. She's like, oh my God, you're so blunt. That's awesome. It's like, wow, she's on fire now because of that. But for him, it's like, I don't really know you, so it doesn't seem right to like try and go out with you. And he's like, well, do you have a girlfriend? And he was like, no. And she's like, are you in love with anyone? And he said, and you know, obviously Nico, like, this is triggering her powers, because we see it manifesting in that orb, and it's like her emotional state influences that, and she's just kind of like waiting for Morihito's response. But then he was like, no. And then she sunk down, because she's like, oh, you know, then the darkness is starting to envelop her. I was like, oh boy. But then it's like, he's like, but there is someone precious to me. And it's like, that is what Khan had said to her. It's like, no, but I know for sure that you are precious to him. And for the student, she was like, is there really a difference? And he's like, well, I'd never really given it much thought before on love and someone being precious to me. Is there a difference between them? He doesn't really know. He just knows how he feels. And she's just like, well, you know, is there a moment that you ever like look back when you think about this person? Like, is there a moment you fell in love with them? And Nico thinks about when she fell in love with Morihito. And we found out some interesting things, that Nico's dad is a human. And in fact, him and Ibuki are split because of that. I guess it's like a human trying to live in that world. It just wasn't conducive. And it makes you wonder where, because it doesn't seem like he's dead. It seems like he's still out there. I wonder, are we going to find out, does Nico have like half siblings, if that comes into the story or not, or maybe he isn't around, because I don't think it came up in episode 1 about Morihito's mom. Maybe, because I think I distinctly remember talking about like, well, we see that Ibuki was there for Nico, and then Morihito's dad was just there, so like they didn't have like, Morihito didn't have his mom, and Nico didn't have her dad like the last time Morihito and Nico had seen each other as kids. But it turns out, it's like, you know, for Nico, it's like, I love my dad, and I was hoping like, you know, he'd be still around to pick me up. But it's like, when she found out about her parents splitting, her magic went out of control, and she blew up part of the house. which is, and near the end of the intro, you see Nico and Morihito as kids, and there's a like partially destroyed house. I'm like, so that's what that is. And then obviously they're in front of I don't know if this is supposed to be the same house, or most likely it's probably Morihito's house now. And it's like, it's them standing in front of it as like what they are as the ages they are now. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like finally get an explanation about that, because I've taken notice of it in the background multiple times, but I really thought about it. I'm like, what's that house about? And like, lo and behold, the time I really started thinking about it, got the answer in the episode. But because she was just kind of worried, like, yeah, because she like loved her dad, and it's also a time where like, because even Morihito was believing like, oh, are you being bullied again? Hell, even earlier in the episode when she's just like, yo, I don't need you to look after me anymore like that, like see me that way, because I'm not that same kid who used to get bullied. But it's like, yeah, she felt like lonely and scared knowing like her dad was leaving and he might not come back. And Morihito grabs her and holds her up. It's like, I am strong enough to hold you. And for her, that's the moment. And we also hear from Morihito. He's like, yeah, I can think of a moment, but we never hear from his perspective what it was. Because at the same time, Nico's feeling what she's feeling. Being right next to his chest, she sees like the light glowing. So what was resonating with her was resonating with him too. So... but the girl who was confessing to him doesn't seem too heartbroken. It's like, yeah, it sucks it didn't work out, but hey, I know that you care about someone, and I hope things work out between you and that person. You can tell that's what she was hopeful for. So when it's all said and done, Nico tries to fly away as his spell's wearing off and falls right into his arms. And of course, Morihito catches her, and it's a really sweet and cute moment. And Khan is nearby watching all of it, and it's like, oh, let's go kind of eat lunch together. And he hops down because this guy's like, yo, why are you up in that tree? He's like, yeah, go ahead, keep chasing your dreams, kid. And it's just like, oh, because he's like, aren't you with those other students? He's like, yeah, but most of the students are over there with the couple tree. And he's like, well, that's not the lover's tree. He's like, well, how do you know? He's like, well, actually, the lover tree is that small one over there, the one that Nico and Morihito are actually eating lunch under. He's like, I know because me and my wife are the ones back in the day who spread that rumor, so we would be the authority on this. So it's kind of interesting. The love tree that everyone's kind of lounging around is like not the real one. So I love when he's with Kara and Kugu, and he's like, oh, let's go eat lunch over there, because they're like, oh, have you seen Nico? He's like, no, let's go over there, because they're the ones that are still unaware how Nico feels about Morihito, because like obviously she threw him under the bus in episode 2 because she was too embarrassed to admit how she really felt, and also she didn't want to like gas him up in front of other people, because then other girls will start taking notice of him, which sadly they've already done that because he's a pretty good dude. But once again, you know, as Kara pointed out, it's like, right, you're a witch with a great personality and a beautiful person in general, so of course like guys are going to start coming after you as well. But yeah, I thought that was just kind of a neat little way to end the episode with them eating lunch under the tree, guaranteeing they will be a couple. You know, they'll hit some bumpy roads along the way, but it's gonna be there. They're in game confirmed. So, which is so ironic considering Nico doesn't know, well, there's another witch out there trying to snatch your ogre from you, who kind of likes him, but more so wants him just for the sake of him being an ogre, but has now started developing feelings, and how that complicates things going forward, we'll have to wait to see. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, another very adorable episode. I'm excited to see where the next episode ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.